Hey guys, welcome back. Today's video I'm going to be filming my review and 3 looks on the ColourPop Truly Madly Deeply eyeshadow palette. That is sort of like a tongue twister to say out loud, but this was an exclusive to Ulta and then ColourPop brought it over to their site, so that's how I was able to get my hands on this. I know that there are a couple of other Ulta exclusive palettes that you guys are asking me if I'm going to review, and sadly I cannot because we don't have an Ulta in New Zealand and Ulta does not ship directly to New Zealand either. So the only way I can get my hands on ColourPop products is if it's on their actual website. But anyway, we have this palette to talk about today. I'm going to give you the entire rundown from review, swatches, I have some comparisons, and then of course my 3 looks at the end. So if you guys are curious about all of that, then just continue watching. So let's go ahead and get started with some product info. This palette is $23 US. It is in their 16 pan format, and ColourPop is saying that this is a collection of their 16 best-selling eyeshadows. Most of these shadows you can purchase them as singles, and a couple of them have appeared in previous ColourPop palettes like Give It To Me Straight, Ooh La La, the Fortune palette are just some examples, but for the most part you can purchase everything as single shadows. They kind of just put it into a palette for you guys. But as I was doing my research, I could not find 3 of these shades as a single shadow on their site. I personally feel like ColourPop search bar sometimes is a little bit funky, like when you know there's a certain product and you search it, it doesn't pop up. So maybe there was a glitch, I don't know. But the 3 shadows I'm talking about is Sweet Dreams, Blossom, and Too Much. I did compare Sweet Dreams and Blossom for you guys. I found 2 comparisons from the Bye Bye Birdie palette. I'm sure there are other comparisons, but I think just keeping it in one palette was a little bit easier. I did forget to find a comparison for the shade Too Much. I think it's okay that I didn't, because since we're already talking about my comparisons at the start of the video, it was a bad shadow to work with, if I'm just saying it honestly. I feel like typically with darker purples, a lot of the times they are quite patchy. Maybe because it's like really rich and it's very dark that it's hard to get it like non-patchy, but this shadow was just very tough to work with, especially blending it on your lid was just not good. So I think having this shadow in this palette really did give me some negative points for this palette as a whole. And also because it's like the darkest shadow in this palette as well, you will use this shadow a lot, and if it's not blending out well, your option to create darker looks is pretty much gone. I will say that this shadow does work fine if you are packing it on. So if you're using it on the lower lash line, if you are using it as a wing liner, it works fine in that aspect. But if you are taking it and blending it, working it, you are going to see some patchiness, and that's what I found on my eyes. So there's that. That's already one negative. This review is kind of like all over the place because I'm already talking about my comparisons. But let's go ahead and break this palette down. So if you actually cut the palette in half this way, horizontally, the top 2 rows are very peachy, very pink, and the bottom 2 rows are more pinky and purple. So I would say the color story for this palette is definitely pinky, purple, and peach. But I think looking at it, it is a little bit confusing to me, and creating looks, I feel like all 3 looks I probably could have created with other palettes I already own. I don't know, just the color story wasn't really vibing with me. I think it was a little bit mumble jumble a little bit for me. But I did see on their website while I was doing my research on this palette, I saw that this had really great reviews. A lot of people were saying that this is like their favorite eyeshadow palette. So, you know, my preference and your preference could be completely different, but for me, I did not really understand this palette and the shades that they created together. And to me as well, this palette is not really worth it because I actually already own probably like half of these eyeshadows. A lot of them do come in palettes. I already own all 3 pressed glitters. I don't really know if this palette was worth it to me, and it might not be worth it to some of you guys that already own a lot of ColourPop palettes. And you know, sometimes with palettes, there's a palette that I just didn't really vibe with, but there is like one shadow that screams out to me and is so special, so unique that it's enough that I could like possibly recommend. But honestly, in this entire palette, there isn't one shadow that is like screaming uniqueness to me. I don't know if I'm just like spoiled with eyeshadow palettes at this point, but there's nothing that really does that to my makeup self, if you know what I mean. So that's pretty much my review. Hopefully you guys found that helpful in deciding if you wanted to purchase this palette or not. That was just my honest thoughts and how I felt while I was creating my 3 looks. I'm not saying it's a bad palette. I think some of you guys would actually like it, but for the looks that I like to create and for the color stories that I personally like, I don't see myself really getting much use out of this palette, and especially a lot of the shadows I already own and palettes that I actually like way more. I just don't really see myself using it. I probably could have done without it, but hopefully this review was helpful either way and it was worth my purchase, because if I'm helping you guys, then I've done my job. But yeah, we already talked about the comparisons. You guys saw the swatches and everything, so we can just jump straight into my 3 looks. Jumping into the first look, I'm gonna start off with the shade Made to Last, and this is going to be my transition shadow. I'm going to work that straight into my crease using windshield wiping motions as always, blending that up towards my brow bone. I'm then moving into the shade Pretty Cruel, and I'm going to pack that onto my lid space first, just making sure the pigmentation is mostly on the lid space, and then you can start blending it up towards the crease area and into the transition shadow. I'm also going to take this shade onto my lower lash line as well, just sweeping that from the outer corner right to the inner corner. And then taking the shade Too Much, I'm going to be doing exactly the same thing, just working that onto the lid space and then blending that up towards the crease area. For the lower lash line, I'll be taking more of a defining brush and pressing this up against my waterline rather than smudging it out. Now taking Mr. Sandman, I am using this shadow wet. I'm going to place that right at the center of my lid space, focusing most of the product there first, because wherever your brush touches, that's where the most pigmentation is going to be. So I want it right at the center, and then I will start swiping left and right to get that diffused blend so you don't really see where the metallic starts and finishes. And you can also see that I am taking it past my crease, so that way when you look up you still can see the metallic peeping through. You also want to repeat this on the lower lash line as well, just focusing most of the product right at the center. And now taking Indio, which is one of the pressed glitters, I am going to focus this right at the most center part of my eyes. This is just going to add a little bit more texture, a bit more dimension to the eye look, and I do take this onto my lower lash line as well at the center. Just taking my black liquid liner, I'm going to use this to line my lash line, and then I'll go in with a black eyeshadow to smudge this out and also create a wing. But to finish off the eye look, I will be taking my ardency in modster eyeliner, and I'm going to use this to tightline my entire bottom waterline. And this, you guys, is the first look completed. For my lashes, I am wearing the Boudoir Lights from House of Lashes. For my final lip pairing, I went with the Just a Tint Lip Crayon from ColourPop in the shade Feel Good. But that will complete the first look. It's a very dark, sultry, purple halo eye. I really like how the glitters stand out against all of the darker shadows. So I hope you guys enjoyed this first look. And now onto the second look. I will be taking the shade Golden Gate Bridge, and I'm going to use this as my transition shadow. I'm going to work that straight into my crease using windshield wiping motion, but I am blending this quite high up in towards my brow bone. Because for a half cut crease, I think just having a well blended base is going to help pull the look overall at the end. I will then move into the shade Cut Out, and I'm gonna focus this product at the outer third of my eyes first, just to kind of get that pigmentation there, and then I sort of bring it all the way in towards the inner part of my crease. But layering the shadow on top of another matte, you want to make sure you are blending this out and that there are no harsh lines. Now taking Too Much, I am going to pack this onto my lid space and then slowly start blending that up towards my crease. I don't want to take this one up too high, but just into the crease where the half cut crease can contrast against later on. This shadow is a little bit patchy for me. I do find that there are little spots cannot pick up any of the product, so it's a little bit difficult to work with, but just pull through. Once you have the whole entire look together, you kind of forget about this shadow, to be honest. But now I am taking my P. Louise eyeshadow base and I'm going to use this to cut out my crease by just placing the product at the inner third of my eyes and then dragging it up towards my crease. I am only bringing it up slightly higher than the natural fold of my crease, so that way when you look up there won't be any transfers. So just taking my time with this, I do take a very fine paintbrush to really carve out and shape that cut crease. Now taking Sweet Dreams, I am using this shadow wet and I'm going to place that right on top of that P. Louise eyeshadow base. You want to be sure that you are not passing the cut crease map because that is just going to defeat the entire purpose of the half cut crease. Using a metallic shadow wet is also going to help sharpen the cut crease as well, so that's always a good tip. And then I am taking a little bit of Hungry Ghost, which is a pressed glitter, and I'm going to press this up against the cut crease line. I just want a little bit of dimension around that cut crease line to make it really stand out. But now I'm just taking a liquid liner and I'm going to use this to line my eyes, and then taking a black eyeshadow to smoke that out as well as give me a smoky wing. Going back into the shade Too Much, I'm going to run this on my lower lash line right from the outer corner to the inner corner. Working this product on my lower lash line, there is no patchiness. I just thought I would mention that very briefly. And then going back into Sweet Dreams, I'm going to use this to highlight my inner corners and connect it with the half cut crease, and also to highlight my brow bone as well. And this, you guys, is the second look completed. For my lashes today, I am wearing the Petite Cosmetics Luxe Faux Mink lashes in the style Honey. For my lip pairing, I went with the Just a Tint lip crayon in the shade Feel Good. But I hope you guys enjoyed another half cut crease from me. Although I did struggle a little bit with one of the shadows, I think at the end it came together and I actually really liked how it turned out. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this second look. And finally, onto the last look. I am starting off with the shade Cut Out, and I'm going to work this at the inner third of my crease area. You pretty much want to work this shadow like how you normally would with the transition shadow, but you're only going to focus it at the inner third of your eyes rather than all over your crease. I then will take the shade Poodle and I'm going to work this at the outer third of my crease, blending that in towards Cut Out. And because we are working with orange and pinks, these two shadows blend very well together, so you won't have any issues with harsh lines or anything like that. But you can see there is like a very soft gradient using this at the outer corners. I'm also going to take Poodle onto my lower lash line as well, but I'm only going to focus it at the outer third and making sure you are connecting the shadows at the outer corner. And I'll also go back into the shade Cut Out and I'm going to work this at the inner third of my lower lash. Pretty much what we did on the lid space, you want to repeat that on your lower lash line. I then go into the shade Too Much. I'm going to stamp this onto my lash line and slowly create a wing with this shadow. I think using a purple, it will complement the orange and pinks a bit better rather than using a black. Now I am taking the shade Blossom and I'm using this shadow wet on a fluffier brush. I'm going to pack this on at the inner third of my lids, just diffusing that out with the fluffier brush, but I'll go into more of like a smaller detail brush to really pack on that metallicness and also take that in towards my inner corners. Now taking Renegade, which is a pressed glitter, just to spice up the eye look a little bit, I'm gonna focus this at the inner corners of my eyes and then start diffusing this glitter out around the inner corners of my lid space and also at the inner third of my lower lash line as well. But you want the most glitters at the inner corner. This might be my favorite way to work with the pressed glitters, is focusing it at the inner corners. It just makes your eyes look very like bright and fresh. And lastly, just taking the creme gel liner in the shade Boots, I'm going to use this to tightline my entire bottom waterline. And this, you guys, is the final look completed for my lashes today. I am wearing Morning Dew by Doe Baby Lashes. For my lip pairing, I went with the Just a Tint Lip Crayon and Feel Good once again, with a hint of Chimichanga, which is part of the Just a Tint line as well. But that will complete this final look. It's a little bit brighter than the other two, a little bit more like summertime friendly. But either way, I hope you guys enjoyed this last look. And that, you guys, was my 3 looks for the Truly Madly Deeply palette. Be sure to let me know which look out of the 3 was your favorite and which look are you most likely to recreate. Let me know down below. If you guys did enjoy this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up for me. I would appreciate it so much if you did. But with that being said, that is going to conclude today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already. I love you guys, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!